Hi, everyone. This is S.J. Thomason at Christian-apologist.com, where truth matters. Well, today I came upon, and actually yesterday I also came upon this, but today I came upon this video again. I watched a number of interviews between Daily Wire's Megan Basham and people like Alyssa Childers, Allie Beth Stuckey, Andrew Klavan, and Gavin Ortlund. So I watched a number of videos, and it's all about this book, this very controversial book that she has just released called Shepherds for Sale. And you can see it right here on her Twitter site. So she's caused quite a stir because of a few reasons. One is she's calling out some very prominent Christians, people like Francis Collins, and pointing out things like Francis Collins, who was in charge of the CDC, who basically was the boss of Andrew Fauci, was apparently denying the fact that COVID started in the Wuhan lab. And apparently when he even knew that it probably started in a Wuhan lab. But anyway, she was calling him out for a number of different lefty type of positions that he holds. She also called out people like Andy Stanley, and saying that he's all about accommodating homosexuals. And she also named a number of other people like Rick Warren and Christianity Today. And she said, follow the money. A lot of them said, follow the money, because when you follow the money, you will find out that unfortunately people who might at one point be one way might change their views to support where the money's coming from. And where is the money coming from? Well, according to her, it was people like George Soros. That's no surprise, but George Soros, a billionaire who's been funding all kinds of terrible causes and is also involved in, apparently, according to her, back in 2013, coming out with these new ideas that, hey, we have to figure out a way to get to the Christians. She pointed out that the Southern Baptists represent a pretty significant voting bloc. And because of that, the interest in Southern Baptists became heightened. And so people decided that they had to infiltrate Southern Baptists. And to do that, they would send a lot of money through causes such as the Evangelical environment cause and other types of causes. And so she basically pointed out things like saying that the pro-life movement has expanded. When people say that they're pro-life about the unborn children, people expanded that to talk about other kinds of pro-life issues. And climate change is a big one, and also some other issues. So anyway, I watched a lot of these different interviews, and I'm very interested in getting her book. So I'm probably going to order that and see what it has to say. But one thing that I did watch was Gavin Ortlund's response videos. I watched 2 response videos by Gavin Ortlund. Now, Gavin Ortlund is a Protestant. I believe he probably is also an evangelical Protestant, and he probably is of some denomination related to the Baptist faith. And so either he's a Baptist or he's related to that. I've seen numerous debates between him and Catholics like Trent Horn, and I've seen numerous conversations with him. And he seems like a pretty straightforward, friendly type of person. I'm a Catholic, as you might know, but anyway, so I was listening to this with some interest because what I see is divisions in the church. Now, we could go back to 1054 when we had our first schism in the church between the Greek Orthodox Church and the Catholics, the Roman Catholics. And then we can go to 1517 when we saw the next one that came along with Martin Luther, of course. And then we saw some more, like we saw, let's see here, some of these different ones here. Yeah, we have other different denominations going back to a lot of different people. But anyway, so now this is going on with Megan Basham's book is unfortunately a division in the Baptist church, because a lot of this is about Baptists, and it's just additional division between the liberal Baptists and the conservative Baptists. So let's see why Gavin Ortlund might be upset. And let's take a look at this, because he was included in the book. So right now we're looking at Megan Basham's Twitter feed, or if you want to call it her X feed. And here's what she says. For years, the American church has been overrun with leaders who are selling out their ministries to the highest bidders, giving wolves access to their sheep in exchange for elite respectability. Rather than the truth of Scripture, high-profile pastors are preaching trendy social causes and reaping the spoils of the media's adulation. The left's march through the institutions has brought it to the last bastion, the church, and if it could, it would bring that edifice too, toppling down to serve its political purposes. Who is being bought and who is doing the buying? Why are seminaries training students to be climate change activists and social justice warriors? Why are the Bible's instructions for handling accusations being thrown out while trauma experts are being brought in? You've had your suspicions. Now you have your answers. I've spent the last 2 years investigating the capitulation, compromise, and propaganda peddling. I'm naming names and bringing receipts. I have received cease and desist threats from one of the country's most powerful law firms. My publisher has received letters from major ministries asking for meetings about their, quote, concerns. Backroom power brokers have tried to discredit and derail my project. By God's grace, they've all failed. You will learn which leaders and ministries are pimping their pulpits, cozying up to leftist sugar daddies, and embracing the world's oldest profession. Coming this July, pre-orders open. So here's her book right here. You can see this very, very controversial book. Look, this tweet here has had 1 million views already. And Russell Brown here says, is this phenomenon limited to evangelicals? And she says, no. And I do touch on other spheres of American Christianity, but primarily focus on evangelicals and Protestants. Okay, so of course, we've got some commentaries on this. Now, I want to get down to this commentary by Alyssa Childers, what her thought is on this particular thing, because I think I can empathize in a way with Gavin. Now, Gavin Ortlund does not want to appear in this book. And I can't really blame him. Who would want to appear in the book that's entitled Shepherds for Sale, especially a pastor? Appearing in the book with people that are accused of doing some really slimy things would be something that wouldn't look very good to a ministry. And I think he realizes that, and he doesn't want his name in there. And so why is Gavin Ortlund in the book? Well, he's in it because he made some comments a few years ago, I guess, on a video about climate change, where he kind of said that we should pay attention to climate change. And she apparently didn't say he was one of the shepherds. And apparently there are people in the book who aren't shepherds for sale. But let's go here. So I'm zooming down so I can get down to this other thing. She's been talking a lot. She is a conservative Christian, I would say. She's definitely on the Republican side, definitely on the side of Trump. She goes after what they call the never Trumpers. And so anyway, I'm still trying to make my way down. Quite a few tweets and things have been coming in since I last looked at this. Maybe I'm not seeing responses. Maybe that's the problem. Okay, yes, let me get down. I want to see Alyssa Childers' response on this. So let's get down to that. And okay, so here's what she says about Andy Stanley. Andy Stanley argued that pastors shouldn't so much confront homosexuality as accommodate it. And so she's got this thing here that says the plot to queer evangelical churches. Then Andrew Klavan, here's his interview. That's another one that I watch. Churches are being infiltrated. Okay, and then she's got another piece here about Warren Cole Smith. That apparently is another person who is very upset about this book. You've got someone here called David Schrock who says, follow the money. One major consequence of Megan Bash's book is that it exposes large swaths of filthy lucre. Her book is being subjected to unique criticism because it threatens to have a large financial impact. Okay, and so anyway, we've got a lot of controversy going on here, but I want to get down to what's specifically focused on Gavin Ortlund, because I think this is an issue. So you can see right here, lots of people commenting, lots of defenses coming from Megan. She's very active here on X. And so why am I not finding this really? Oh, here we go. Okay, great to see Alyssa Childers' excellent response to Gavin Ortlund's underhanded attempts to get her to take down her interview with Megan Basham. Gavin, I can certainly appreciate your desire to defend what you believe is a misrepresentation. However, I would challenge everyone who is commenting to not only watch your videos, but also read Megan's book and decide for themselves. You are actually a very minor player in the book. She didn't call into question your salvation or even your ministry. She didn't say you were paid off or were a wolf or a false teacher. She used you as an example of an evangelical leader who promoted climate change activism, which I think is fair. She didn't make a personal claim about what you did or didn't read. She was quoting Beisner, who said he could almost guarantee that you hadn't read relevant parts of the IPCC assessment report. That was clearly presented as his opinion. With everything in context, I believe she analyzed you accurately. Brother, I agree that no culture war is worth sacrificing integrity, which is exactly why I can't compromise my integrity to go along with the misrepresentation narrative, which at this point would be an easier path. One thing I would like to clarify, and maybe I could have worded it better, the big Eva, or that's evangelical comment, was not directed so much to you as an individual person, but to the general mob who are putting her through the ringer like nothing I've ever seen. I wish half the people who seem to be straining a gnat and swallowing a camel would have applied such scrutiny to Barr or Dumez. Had they done that, she may not have needed to write the book. Okay. I just wanted to comment on something here with respect to that comment by Alyssa Childers. Is I have to say that I can sort of see Gavin's point. I wouldn't want to be in a book with other people who are considered, these slime balls. So I can't really blame Gavin. She's pointing out that the author, Megan Basham, didn't really say anything terribly negative about Gavin, but just the simple inclusion in the book is enough to be a pretty negative thing. Again, who would want to appear in that book? Who would want to appear in that book, especially if you're not somebody who's capitalizing on massive funding from people like George Soros and these other organizations that are out there to infiltrate the church? So that's that. That's what I wanted to say today. I hope you'll like and subscribe and do come again. And just remember, whether you eat, drink, or whatever you do, do it all for the glory of God. Thank you.